All right. Good morning, guys. Yeah. Before we start today's session, guys, one quick update or one good news. So we'll have, we got one wonderful earn while you learn opportunity next week. So wherein like you can, you can earn your fees. You can earn your fee amount in just 1 month. Okay. Right. So I'll let you know next week. And this is for only offline participants. Right. This is once in a, we can say once in a year opportunity. It's an opportunity that comes once in a year. All right. So, however, like if you want to know that, I mean, this is meant for only offline participants. So you can come next week also. If anyone is planning to come next week, you can come next week as well. All right. So what did we discuss yesterday? Before we start today's session, shall we have one quick assessment on the previous day concepts? And one more update, one more good news. I'm seeing a lot of openings in, through Naukri. So if you see here, I had received this email this morning for experience guys, obviously. So Freyer Hyderabad, it seems, and then Value Labs Hyderabad, Infosys, Kumaran Systems, Remote. This is a Chennai-based company, and Infosys Bangalore, right? And Epidel Technologies, Mumbai, and Edge Executive Search, Gurgaon, and KPMG Assurance and something Bangalore, right? And then you have again Infosys Chennai, and then Shell Recharge Solutions Bangalore, Flywings HR Services Pune, Infosys Chennai, and Forest Advisories, it seems, and then Infosys, again Infosys. So Infosys, you have multiple locations across different cities, pan India. So that is why you have different posts over here. Okay. And if you click on view all recommendations, you will see further more jobs, right? You can see like, how many openings are there in LinkedIn, in Naukri itself. So apart from that, I am sharing some of the openings through my Instagram page, right? I hope, I believe you are following my Insta page. I have been sharing some openings on my Insta page as well. So we have some openings right now for performance testing. Of course, this is 6 to 8 years of experience at PwC, and I had given the mail ID over here. And then you have like for 3 to 4 years experience, we have some openings in VY systems. This is 5 to 12. Sorry, this is 5 to 12 VY systems. And let me show you a couple of openings for 3+ years of experience. Performance engineers, yeah, 3 to 5 years. This is for 3 to 5 years at Global Logic. They are looking for immediate joiners. Notice period should not be more than 30 days, it seems. And what is the tool that they are looking for? Performance testing with JMeter, right? You see, JMeter is the tool that they are looking for. And JMeter, they are expecting to have 2 to 3 years of experience as a primary skill. And basic Java coding and BlazeMeter is optional, not mandatory. So you can read out the JD and you have the mail ID over here. Okay. And please remember, only LinkedIn openings will be shared in our Insta page. Referral openings will be shared in our batch WhatsApp group only for our students. Okay. All the referral openings will be shared in our batch WhatsApp group. Those are, only for our students, our, those who joined the training. Clear, guys? Now, so let us have a quick assessment before we start today's session. What did we discuss yesterday? Let me go to the batch tracker sheet. And what did we discuss? Yesterday, we discussed importance and prerequisites of performance testing. And by the way, did I upload the recorded session? Yesterday's recorded session?
No, sir.
No?
No, sir.
I had already uploaded, ma'am. June 2025 morning batch. Go to the playlist URL. Do you have the playlist URL? With everyone having playlist URL? You see that here, June 19th, yesterday's session is uploaded to the playlist URL. Okay. So do you have the playlist URL handy?
Yes, sir.
I had shared it in the batch WhatsApp group. Have a look at it. Okay. Yesterday afternoon only I had uploaded. You should have asked me yesterday evening if you did not, if you have any confusion. Okay, anyways, going forward, if you have any queries, post it in the WhatsApp group. Yes. Post it in the WhatsApp group. There will be no separate charge for that. Okay, Sarda.
Yes, sir.
And even Anvesh also asked me. Can you please check if you have the playlist URL handy? Did you save it somewhere on your system? Can you please check if you are able to see that?
Yes, yes, sir. I'm checking.
All right. So I think we stopped here yesterday, right? So we had stopped at architecture diagram. We were discussing architecture diagram, isn't it? And we had discussed this one, isn't it? Now, um, now let us discuss this 2-tier and 3-tier applications. Okay. So let us discuss this 2-tier and 3-tier applications. Today we'll discuss 2-tier versus 3-tier applications. Applications are, desktop versus web applications. Okay. So before discussing this example, so let me give you some real life example that you already that you are already aware of, or most of you are already using it. How many of you joined Zoom meeting through browser? How many installed Zoom meeting on your system?
I joined Zoom meeting from browser desktop.
What is that?
I joined Zoom meeting from the desktop CPU.
From the desktop application,
Yeah.
right? You installed Zoom meeting from your
Yes. Yes.
on your machine and you joined through that, isn't it? So
Yes, sir.
Zoom meeting, you can join Zoom meeting either from a browser or either by installing Zoom meeting and like this, and you'll get a shortcut on the desktop, right?
Yes.
Called Zoom Workplace, isn't it? So this is called as a desktop application. Why is this called as desktop application? You had installed something, you had installed Zoom software on your desktop. That is why it is called as desktop application. Clear, everyone? And on the other side, you can join Zoom meeting from a browser also. Go to zoom.us. Okay. And you can click on sign in. Okay. And there should be an option to join a meeting. Hold on. Yeah. You can log in your credentials. You can enter your credentials and you can log in 1 second. Otherwise, there should be some option to, yeah, here it is. Click on meet and join a meeting and you can enter the meeting ID. You can enter the meeting ID and you can join from a browser also without installing Zoom meeting on your system, right? So if you are joining from a browser, that is called as a web application, isn't it? If you are joining Zoom meeting from a browser, that is called as a web application. Or if you are installing Zoom meeting on your system, that is called as a desktop application. Desktop application. You can join Zoom meeting either through desktop application, but please join through desktop. Okay, I'll explain why. Don't join from browser unless until there is no other option. Okay. Now you can join Zoom meeting through a desktop application or a browser, web browser. Agree? Right? So why is this called as a desktop application? See, desktop application is like the Zoom Workplace and when you install Workplace, Zoom Workplace. Or you can join from a web browser by going to zoom.us, US website. Right? So this is a 2-tier application. This is a 2-tier application, and if you join the Zoom meeting through a browser or any browser-based application is falls under 3-tier application. Any desktop application fall under 2-tier. Any desktop application fall under 2-tier, right? And any browser-based applications fall under 3-tier. Okay, browser-based applications are web applications. Browser-based applications are web applications. Okay, and this is also called as, it has another name. It has a technical name called thick client application. It has a technical name called thick client application. Whereas, so if it is thick client application, if desktop applications are called as thick client applications, they should also have some name, right? Technical name. So these are called as thin client applications. Clear, guys? So why are these desktop applications called as thick client applications? In interviews, they will ask you guys, do you have any experience on thick client applications? Okay, they will ask you a question, do you have any experience on thick client applications, performance testing for thick client applications, right? You should know what is thick client application. You should not ask the interviewer what is thick client. You should know that. Clear, guys? That is why I'm explaining here. And browser-based applications are called as thin client applications. Okay, all browser-based applications are called as thin client applications. Why are these called as thin client and thick client? Let us understand. When you are using any browser-based application, right, they will consume less CPU and less memory. They will consume less CPU and less memory. Okay, because see, you did not install browser for only that application, isn't it? So they consume less CPU and less memory. But when you install Zoom meeting on your desktop, right, or any desktop application will consume more CPU and more memory. That is why there are more disk space also. When you install that application on your machine, they consume disk space, they consume CPU, they consume memory. But if you are using a browser-based application, they may not be, they will be using very less disk space. And CPU memory also will be less. Let me show you that. How can you check, how much CPU and memory each application is using? If you go to Task Manager and go to Performance tab, go to Processes. Go to Processes and see here. Zoom meeting is consuming 6% of CPU, 700 MB memory. Do you see that here? Zoom meeting is consuming 5 to 6% CPU as well as 700 MB of RAM, isn't it? Yes or no? But if you join the same Zoom meeting through a browser, it will not occupy that much. It will not consume that much resources. Okay. I'll take a pause here. Any queries? Right. Why did I ask you? Then why did I ask you to install Zoom meeting and join through that only? When you join Zoom meeting through a desktop application, I can take control of your machine. I'll show you that. Can one of you, I'm 1 second. Can is anyone ready to share your screen? I mean, did you join through a laptop? Even if mobile also, that is fine, but prefer to connect to someone who joined through laptop. All of you joined through laptop, Balaji or Anulikita?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm Anulikita or Balaji. Did you also join through laptop?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm sending a request to I'm sending a request to you. Can you please accept my request and share your screen? Can you please share your screen first?
Okay, ma'am. Sharing.
Okay, Anulikita started sharing. Yeah, let me. Are you sharing your screen, Anulikita? Yes, Anulikita started screen sharing, isn't it? So suppose tomorrow, if you have some issue, once we start scripting or, if you are having some issues, I can connect remotely to your system. I'm sending a request to you. Can you please accept it? Don't stop until you are proud. Good quote. Yeah. So now I can see, observe here. What is it saying? You can control now her screen, right? Let's say, for example, I can, I have control on her machine and I can open Google Chrome, I can open Firefox, I can open any program on her system now. Clear, guys? Understood or no? So I can open any, I can take control of her machine. I can take control of her machine and, I can access, I can open any program. I can take control. This is possible only when the participant join through desktop application. But if they join from a browser, I can't take control. Okay. So if tomorrow, if you are facing any issues in the script or if you are facing any system issues, I can connect through that, remote. I can take control and I can connect like this. Only when that is possible, only when you join from a desktop application. But if you join from a browser, I can't take control of your machine. Clear? And clear, guys, everyone? So that's why, I ask everyone to install Zoom meeting on your system. Okay. So if anyone joined through browser, please install Zoom meeting and join from that. Install Zoom meeting and join from that. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, Anvita. Now coming back to this. So will you be able to remember what is thick client and what is thin client? When you install, when you install Zoom meeting on your machine, that will consume more CPU, more memory and disk space, right? I'll give some example here otherwise. Okay. So example is Zoom installed on our system. Right? Zoom installed on our system. Okay. That is a good example. And apart from that, see, similarly, maybe I'll give WhatsApp example, right? Everyone likes WhatsApp, right? So I'll give WhatsApp example. So you can install WhatsApp on your system. You know that? Maybe you know that. Everyone know that. I'm sure everyone will know that. Okay, so you can install WhatsApp on your system and you can join WhatsApp like this, right? You can join WhatsApp like this. Now, another way is you can also, access WhatsApp from your browser also, right? Isn't it? So now this WhatsApp, I am using this WhatsApp as a browser-based application or a thin client application. Whereas this WhatsApp is thick client application. We call this one as a thick client or a desktop application. Clear? Now we will not forget that. Okay. I hope you will not forget that now. All right. So you see, this is important. What is what is the difference between thin client and thick client applications? That is important. Please remember that. Please understand that. Okay. And these are called as two-tier applications. Thick client applications are called as two-tier applications, whereas browser-based applications are called as thin client applications. Guys. Okay. So that is all about this slide. And now see here, this client software. See, observe here. You are seeing client C++ or .NET or Java, etc. Right? So this Zoom meeting might have been developed in some programming language like Java or .NET. That is what it means. Okay, that's what it means. Client means this is called as Zoom client software. This is called as Zoom client software. Okay, the client application might be developed using any of the programming languages like C++ or .NET or Java, etc. And it will directly interact with the server, Zoom server. This client software will be interacting or connecting to the Zoom server. Whereas in the case of a browser-based application, you will access the application through any browser. It will connect to application server and then application server will connect to database server. So you'll have three tiers here. Where is web server here? Web server ekkada poyindi ekkada? Should be having some web server, right? Yesterday we discussed about web application architecture. Akkada, we discussed about web server, isn't it? But web server is missing here, right? You have only app server and DB server. No, I'll explain. Yeah. So app server, you have only app server here because app server can act as both web and app server. It can do the job of both web and app servers. Clear? But web server can do, web server can't act as a web server is not equal to app server. Okay. But app server is equal to app server. App server can do the job of both web and app servers. So that is why, Here app server in the PPT, app server itself is acting as a web server also. App server is more superior than web server. Clear, guys? Is this clear? What is the but web server is not equal to app server. Web server can't act as an application server, or web server can't do the job of application server, but application server can do the job of both web server as well as app server. Any queries? I'll take a pause here. Any queries? Now, I'll start, request response cycle. Let us start the next important concept, that is request response cycle. So, another interesting concept. We'll discuss all these later on. Yeah. Now let us discuss request response cycle. What is meant by request response cycle? So HTTPS request response cycle. What does that mean? Suppose you are sending a request, from your browser. Okay. You are sending a request from your browser. This is called as HTTPS request. This is called as a HTTPS request. What is HTTPS? And what is HTTP? What is HTTP and what is HTTPS? You have it over here. Let me go to the corresponding slide. So HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol, right? That is a protocol used for communication between server and the client. This is a protocol used for communication between server and the client. Okay. Now in this example, see, for example, what are the HTTP websites? I know one HTTP website, but they had changed it to HTTPS recently. So I don't have any HTTP websites now. Let me check. Yeah, this is HTTP. Is it HTTP only? 1 second. Still HTTP only. 1 second. This is HTTPS. They made it HTTPS, right? So this is HTTPS. But previously, till last batch it was HTTP only. I'll show some other websites. There will be some HTTP websites also. Okay. So what is HTTP? What is HTTP first of all? Hypertext Transfer Protocol, right? What is HTTPS? What is that additional S stands for? Secured, right? So now HTTP protocol, what is a protocol, by the way? What is a protocol? Another important basic concept. What is meant by a protocol? So I'm saying that, HTTP, HTTPS are two protocols. Now, what is a protocol actually? Protocol is a communication language between server
Client
and
and
the
server.
client. Client and the server, or server and the client, vice versa. Between client and the server. Client and the server. Communication language between client and the server. Okay. Now, what is meant by client here? Server means you know that, right? Amazon will have some server, or Instagram will be running on some server. Instagram will be running on some web server, app server, DB server. Amazon will be also having web app and DB, right? Now, protocol is communication language between client and the server. Now, what is this client here? So, client is nothing but, if it is a browser-based application, your browser is the client. Your browser will be the client. If it is a thin client application, browser will be the client. Okay. If it is a desktop application, this will be the client. In case of Zoom example, this will be the client software. Okay. But if it is a browser-based application, if it is a web application, your browser will be the client, right? Now, protocol is the communication language between client and the server. Clear for everyone? It is the communication language between client and the server. Now, there are different protocols. There are a lot of protocols. So HTTP is one protocol. Where HTTP stands for? What does HTTP stand for, Supraja?
So Hypertext Transfer Protocol.
Hypertext Transfer Protocol. And what does HTTPS stand for? So that,
Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure.
right. So HTTPS stands for that, additional S stands for secured, right? And how do you know if an application is HTTP or HTTPS? How do you know if a web application is HTTP or HTTPS? See, suppose you are accessing Amazon page, right? So how do you know if this is HTTP or HTTPS? If it is secured or not, how do you know that? So if you see here, you see symbol over here, Amazon, before Amazon, you see some symbol over here. If you click on that, it is saying that connection is secure, right? You see a padlock symbol, that is padlock symbol. That is called as a padlock. Okay. And you see that connection is secure. And if you copy that URL, just copy that URL and paste it anywhere, it will show the complete URL, right? So it will show the complete URL as example. Do you see that, do you see the protocol is HTTPS here? Right? Now, what is the meaning of it? So when you are using Amazon, you can happily enter, you can safely enter your credit card details and any other details, your username, password, or your credit card details can be entered. There is no risk over there because it is a secured website. Okay. But don't enter your credit card details or your net banking credentials in a HTTP website. Never ever enter those your net banking credentials or credit card numbers over a HTTP website because it is not secured. It is not secure. Clear guys? But if you see IRCTC or Amazon, all these are secure websites only, isn't it? Let me show you that. See, you see that symbol over there, right? And if you click on that, it shows connection is secure, isn't it? You see the padlock symbol. Even if you see the padlock symbol, that indicates that it is a secure application. Okay, and you see the protocol is HTTPS, isn't it? You see the protocol also here and padlock symbol here. This is more clear, right? So these are secured applications. It means the protocol that the application is using is HTTPS. Clear? And you can safely enter, entering your net banking credentials or credit card number, all those are secured there. Clear guys? So now the port number that HTTPS uses is 443. The standard port number of HTTPS is 443, whereas the standard port number of HTTP is 80. Now, what is port number? What is port number here? So port number means, this HTTP, all the HTTP applications communicate on. So if any computer or any server will have thousands of ports, first of all, software ports. Those are software ports, right? Any application or, any computer or any server will have thousands of port numbers, right? What is a port number means? Suppose you are sending, suppose you are sending a request to Amazon.in. This will be running on port number 443 on the server. What does that mean? Means your server will be listening on that port number to see if any user is trying to access the application. If any user sent a request to the server, it will take the request and it will send the response. It will process the request and it will send the response. Clear? Any program, for that matter, for example, how many of you are having MySQL knowledge before? How many of you are aware of MySQL database? Anyone from
I'm aware
online
of it, sir.
participants? Huh?
I'm aware of it, sir.
Okay.
Shashank.
What is the, Shashank. So what is the port number of MySQL database? Any idea what is the port number of MySQL database? It uses a standard port number, or it uses by default, it uses some port number 3306. Okay. Please note down this 3306. I'll write it down here. Okay. And once we go to database concepts, then also we'll discuss this again. But MySQL software, if you install MySQL database on your computer or any computer, the default port number will be 3306. Right? That means it will be listening on that port number. Okay, we'll discuss further on that, on the port number. But standard port number for HTTP is for now remember that standard port number for HTTP is 80 and standard port number for HTTPS is, yes, 443. Just remember this one. Clear, guys? I'll take a pause here. Any queries? No queries? Huh? Default one is 443, but we can change it. We can change the port number for any application, but by default it uses 443. Clear? MySQL port number is default port number. Let me write it down here. MySQL default port number. Curious what is port number? Let us ask ChatGPT. Let us ask ChatGPT what is, or let us ask Google or ChatGPT, right? What is a port number? See, what ask, mention computers. Otherwise, there are different port numbers. How does the ChatGPT knows what port number we are asking about? If you say what is a port, it may ask C, it may say C port or something, right? So when you are asking, like a proper question is important. Asking the question in proper way is important, right? So, and this is one of the, wonderful career, right? Prompt engineering, that we call it as prompt engineering. You might have heard it, right? So how to use these AI tools? ChatGPT is a AI tool. How to use AI tools, how to give a proper prompt, right? That is called as prompt engineering, isn't it? So coming back to this, what is a port number in computer? It is a numerical identifier used to specify a particular process or service on a device that is connected to a network, right? It is a numerical identifier. Means port number is a number used to specify a particular process or a service on a device that is connected to a network, right? And port numbers range from 0 to 65, 535. Port numbers will be from 0 to 65, 535. Clear, guys? And we'll discuss it further on this port number. So once we start the demo application, we'll discuss more on the port number. Now I'll come back to this. So for now, remember that the port number of HTTP is 80. Standard port number of HTTPS is 443, right? And then there is also file transfer protocol. There is another protocol called. There are a lot of protocols. There are hundreds of protocols. Okay, we need not know all those, but we need to know HTTP and HTTPS at least, right? And then FTP. FTP stands for file transfer protocol. Suppose if when is this protocol used? This is a standard network protocol used for transfer of computer files between client and server on a computer network. Okay, so we'll discuss this FTP protocol also later on, but let's just remember what is FTP. For now, remember what is FTP. That is enough. FTP is a short form for file transfer protocol or acronym for file transfer protocol. What is meant by an acronym? Acronym means short form, right? The meaning of acronym is a short form. Clear, guys? So FTP is an acronym for file transfer protocol. Clear? And now I'll come back to this, request response cycle. Now we are, let's say you are, opening a browser and you want to buy some product or you want to search some product and see the price. You go to Amazon.in and you are sending a request. This is HTTPS request. This is a HTTPS request that you are sending. And if the application is HTTPS, you will get response also in a HTTPS format. Server also will send the response in HTTPS format. Okay. Now, now what happens from the moment we send the request till we receive the response? That is called as request response cycle. మనం browser లో ఆ URL సెండ్ చేసిన దగ్గర నుంచి మనకు రెస్పాన్స్ వచ్చేంత వరకు ఏం జరుగుతుంది? What actually happens without our knowledge, right? Behind the browser, some processing happens, right? Isn't it? So what happens from the moment we send a request till we receive a response is called as request response cycle. Clear? I'll write it down here. Request response cycle. What is the meaning of that? So what are the steps? What happens from the moment Particularly, these are important for freshers. Okay. From the moment we send the request, from browser to server, right? From the moment we send the request from browser to server till we receive response is called as request response cycle. Okay. Now let us understand what actually happens from the moment we send the request till we receive the response. What actually happens? Okay. So there are 5 steps. There are 5 steps. There will be 5 steps in between. What is that? Once you enter a URL, first step is called as local processing. What is the meaning of it? Your browser extracts the protocol, server name, port number, resource path, and query strings. Okay. Guys, today's session and tomorrow's session, the next 1 week sessions are very important for scripting. If you understand the next 1 week sessions, scripting will be cakewalk for you, right? So you will enjoy scripting if you understand the next 1 week sessions. But if you don't understand the next 1 week session, scripting will be, you may feel difficult. You may feel difficult. Okay. But if you understand the next 1 week concepts, please focus. If you understand, you'll enjoy, really thoroughly enjoy scripting. Script చేసి ఆ స్క్రిప్ట్ వర్క్ అవుతా ఉంటే ఆ వచ్చే ఆ కిక్కే వేరస్. Okay, if your script is working correctly, so you'll get excellent satisfaction. Okay, so ఆ కిక్కే వేరు ఉంటుంది. Clear, guys? Okay. So now first, once you enter a URL in the browser, the first step that happens in the browser is browser will extract the protocol, server name, port number, resource path, and query string from the URL. Okay. What is the meaning of extract here? Means it will break the request. Your browser will break the request into protocol, server name, port number, resource path, and query string. Now, protocol we know, we already discussed. Just now we discussed, right? Protocol can be HTTP or HTTPS or FTP or SMTP. There are hundreds of protocols, right? And now server name, what is server name here? This is your server name. This is the server name, right? Suppose you are sending a request to irctc.co.in, right? irctc.co.in is the server name. See, this is your server name. irctc.co.in is the server name. Clear this? Or if you are sending a request to Amazon, this is your server name. Clear, guys? This is your server name. What is this www? World Wide Web, right? What is that World Wide Web? So it is World Wide Web consortium which will define the standards and all this for internet. There is a World Wide Web consortium which will define the standards for the internet. Okay. So HTTPS is the protocol here, and this is the server name here. Okay. But what is this? What is this port number? We don't have a port number here, isn't it? But the default port number is, we just now discussed that. What is the default port number of HTTPS? 443. Default port number will be 443. And what is this resource path? What is this resource path? And what is query string? Let us understand this. These two are very important for scripting. These concepts are very important for scripting. And believe me, or you can check with any other, you can attend demo sessions in any institute. No one will explain this. What is this request response cycle? What is resource path? What is query string? They will not start from these basic concepts. Okay. So even I also not aware of this till I attended one interview in 2015. I had attended one interview in InnoMinds. There the interviewer asked me this question: can you explain request response cycle? Till then, I also don't know that. I was preparing content. I started preparing this content in 2015. Okay. Then immediately after coming from the interview, I had Googled it and I had updated. I had added this slide to my content. Okay. We started trainings in 2018, but I started preparing this content in 2015. Okay. So now coming back to this, that is a different story. So, I couldn't answer it that day. Okay. I was selected, of course. I was selected because, I was selected because I am having, around 7 to 8 years experience at that time, 10 years experience, sorry. Right. So, but see, facing the interview is different from the, slightly different from the work you do, right? So I was selected for in that interview, and I worked for Innominds for almost 2.5 years or 3.5 years. Okay, Innominds is a service-based company. Innominds is a service Hyderabad-based company, and it was it was owned by our someone from our Telugu community. Man Telugu valle bettaru Innominds and Signity, Dap Labs. These are all established or founded by someone from our Telugu community, right? There are a lot of companies, such organizations, right? So Innominds is one of the top 10 dream companies to work for, and it got National Best Employer Award. I got this interview in Innominds. I got this question in the Innominds interview. Which one? This request response cycle. Now, what is that request response cycle? What is the request response cycle? What happens from the moment we send a request till we receive a response? That is called as request response cycle. Okay. Now, what is resource path and what is query string? We need to understand what is resource path and what is query string. Okay. Let us understand that. So if you observe here, I gave some examples here. Do you observe it? And I also used color coding. Observe. Did you observe that? Protocol I had applied brown color. Server name I had applied red color. And in the examples also, I used the same color so that you will understand what is server name, what is port number, what is resource path, and what is query string. Can you look at those examples? So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 examples, including this one. Okay, right? And try to see the color coding, observe the color coding. Why none of the other institutes are explaining this, why this Pawan is explaining this, what is this resource path, what is query string, and let me show you one example. I'll show you one JMeter script, then you'll understand what is the significance of this. Let me show you one JMeter script there. Just give me a moment. See, I got this question in the interview. Maybe they did not get that question in the interview, right? And I know the importance of these concepts. And these are the concepts, like which made our even from non-computer students, crack interviews on their own, right? So we spend first to 15 days on basics only, right? So, but if you go to any other trainer or any institute, they will cover these basics in 1 or 2 hours, and then third day they will start the tool. On the third day they will start the tool, or second day itself they will start the tool. But let me explain what is the importance of this. Okay, I'll open one JMeter script and I'll show you where do we come across all these concepts. So this is one of the script that I covered in the previous batches for April 2025 evening batch. Okay, so if you see the script, right, observe here that if you select this, right, HTTP request, there is a HTTP request here, and you see that protocol here. Do you see the protocol here? Do you see the protocol? And do you see the server name? Right? Second. And do you see server name or IP address here? And then port number. And you see port number is 443 here. And then you see something called path here, right? This is nothing but resource path. This is nothing but your resource path. Okay. And HTTP request, there is a drop down here and called HTTP request. And there are some important HTTP request methods: get, post, put, delete, patch. There are around 10 to 15 request methods, right? So we'll discuss the request methods in the next session. But now you understood, like you should be knowing all these. What is protocol? What is server name? What is port number? What is resource path? This is exactly resource path. Clear, guys? Right? We'll discuss that later. Once we'll start scripting. I will be starting scripting mostly from next week. Also, we'll be discussing fundamentals only. I'll be starting scripting only from 30th June. By that time, everyone should be strong on fundamentals. If you are good on fundamentals, you will enjoy scripting, right? Inka ivanni antar assignments. Okay. So because you will really enjoy the scripting. All right. Now, what is meant by this resource path? To explain this, I'll take one demo application. I'll take one demo application called WebTours. Okay. So I'll share you, I'll make you install this application on your machine, but not now. Maybe next week I'll make you install this application on your machine. So we will start with a demo application called WebTours, because we have most of the people in this batch are freshers. I want to cover this application, this WebTours application. Otherwise, I am not covering this application. I'm starting with real-time applications. Okay. But as most of the people, I see almost 50% of the people in this batch are freshers, right? So I'll start with this simple application called WebTours. Now I started the server. I'll set up that application. I'll make you install this application on your machine. This is not an online application. First of all, this is not an online application, but this is a local application. Now, how to access that application is once you start the server, enter the URL like this. This is the URL of the application. Okay, localhost 1080 webtours index.html. In this, now let us, I'll copy this URL and paste it in your class notes document. And now let us understand what is protocol, what is server name, what is resource path in that URL. This is the application URL, right? In this URL, what is protocol here? Protocol is HTTP. Server name. How can you say that it is server name? What is localhost first of all? What is meant by localhost first of all? Anyone?
Sir, for developers use this to execute it locally instead of pushing
Right.
it into the
Right. Localhost is nothing but that is the default name of any computer. Right? Adenti computers kuda names untaya? Yes, it will have name. It will have a name. Right? Computers also will have a name. Right? Now, what is my machine name? How can I check my machine name? How can I check my computer name? See, localhost is the default name. Okay. Localhost is the default name. Pair పెట్టక ముందు అది వాడతారు. Right? But పేరు పెట్టిన తర్వాత we can call with that computer. Yes, sir. Now, yeah. Now how to check the computer name? How to check my computer name?
My computers and properties, sir.
Yes, there are multiple ways to check that. One way is you have this PC on the desktop, right? Right click on that and click on properties. Click on properties and you see the device name. You see something called device name here, right? Observe here. This is my computer name. Lenovo ThinkPad is my computer name, right? That is the name that I gave. Okay. So what is that? That is called as device name or host name. Device name or host name. What is this host? Host means nothing but computer here. Okay. My laptop name is Lenovo ThinkPad, but default name is localhost. But the default name is localhost, right? Default name is localhost, right? And can we change this name? Can we change this name? We can change the name. So you can click on this, rename this PC, and you can give a new name here if you don't like it, or if you want to give your favorite hero name or your boyfriend name or girlfriend name, yes, you can use it, right? So once you rename, you need to restart your system, then only it will be applicable. You need to restart your system. Okay. That is a different story, but we can change the device name. Okay. But by default, it will have a name called localhost. By default, the computer name will be localhost. In my case, this laptop name is localhost. In your case, your laptop name is localhost. Your computer name is localhost. Okay. And now, what is the IP address of my mem? What is how to check the IP address? Okay. Another way is, So one way to check the device name is right click on this PC and go to properties, right? This is one way. Okay. This is one way to check the device name. There is another way. You can open a command prompt, right? Let me do that again. Open a command prompt by typing CMD here, and you go to open a command prompt, right? And you type host name. And that is also showing the same name, right? That is also showing the same name. Now, how to check the IP address of my computer? We already discussed this, right? In the second session. How to check the IP address?
By writing IP config.
IP config.
IP config, right? Right, and it is showing a lot of values. Which is my IP address now? This one, IPv4. This is your IPv4, and this is IPv6 address, right? We had already discussed about this IPv4 and IPv6 before also, isn't it? Today's IP address of my system is 192.168.1.9. Can you please check? It will also be 192. It will start with 192 only. 192.168.1, and the last number may vary. Okay. Today my IP address is 192.168.1.9. Why I am saying today? Will it change tomorrow? Yes, it may change. It may change tomorrow, right? So and by the way, is this private IP or public IP? This is private IP. Remember that this is private IP. Okay. And what is public IP then? How to check the public IP of my computer? You can open a browser. You can open a browser and you can open a new tab and type what is my IP.com. What is my IP.com, and it will show you public IP. Okay. So 122.173.0.45 is the public IP. Your current IP info under it is saying that it is current IP info, because there is a chance that it will change. Clear, guys? This public IP also may change. For example, if you connect to mobile data now, the public IP will change. Private IP also will change. Clear, guys? If I switch from Wi-Fi to mobile data, my private IP will change and public IP will change, right? And if someone commits a cyber crime, that is how they will track us with the help of this public IP and private IP. Okay, right? So this help the cybercrime police to track the from which system it was done if someone commits a cyber crime, isn't it? So that is that is a different story. But every computer will have, every device connected to the internet will have a unique IP address. Clear, guys? So this is public IP, and I'll note down this one. You have a copy option to copy also here. Just click on that and you can copy. That will be copied. Why are we discussing these IP addresses? Observe here again. If you remember that JMeter script, you have something called server name or IP address. Did you observe that in the JMeter script? That is why we should know this IP address concept, right? So one of the topic discussion. So last like couple of times we get some students from other institutes. There is one famous institute in KPHB, very famous. They charge 30,000, 40,000 for training. Okay, I don't want to mention the names. Okay, so some students came for inquiry for performance testing. When I asked them what is IP address, they couldn't answer it. Maku cheppaledu institute lo antunnaru. Even if they don't explain, they have to explain. First of all, they need to explain that in the first 1 or 2 weeks. Even though they don't explain, you need to know this. Okay, you can't say that my institute lo cheppaledu, you can't say that, isn't it? So now let me show you the JMeter script. So I was really surprised. I was really surprised. That is very famous institute. That is there from 20 years or 30 years, and their students don't know what is IP address. What the hell is this? What the bullshit is this? I felt so pity on them. These are basic computer fundamentals. What is IP address? How to check IP address? These are computer fundamentals. Okay, because tomorrow once you join a job, you need to install some softwares, right? You'll raise a request for software. You'll raise a request to the network team. The first question they will ask is, can you tell me what is your system name or IP address? That is the first. They will not come to your desk. They will be sitting at their home or they will be sitting at their desk, and they will ping you in in Teams or something. Can you share me your IP address? And if you say that I don't know IP address, right? We can't even imagine. Okay, so we can't say that we are an engineer. We cannot claim that we are an engineer. So please see that here server name or IP. This is the reason we should know all these concepts. What is server name or host name and all these concepts, or what is IP address, what is a port number and all this. Okay, and now coming back to this is, this is server name here, because this application, WebTools application, is running on my local machine. Local host refers to local machine, my computer, and this application is running on port number 1080, right? And then this is called as resource path. This is called as resource path. What is resource here? First of all, path ante telusu manaki. What is resource? Let us understand what is resource. Okay. A web page will be made up of multiple components. Yesterday, I think we had discussed yesterday, right? You need to know a web page components are resources. Any web page will be made up of, any web page is made up of multiple components or resources. What are those? Yes, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and images. There will be some images also on all the pages, right? And images will have, you'll have different image formats. What are the different image formats? JPG, PNG, BMP, GIF. Any other formats? There are a lot of image formats. Okay. So any web page will be made up of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, images, etc. These are called as web page resources or web page components. They're also called as web page components. Now coming back to this example. So this, in this example, index.html is the resource. It is a HTML document. Index.html is nothing but it is a HTML document that you are seeing. If you see the code of this, right click and see the code of this view page source ante, you'll see some HTML document. Observe here. You see some HTML document. Clear? And then, so index.html is the resource here. That HTML document is the resource here. Okay. Now let me show you that where is that resource on the server. Okay. We have the server installed on our machine, right? You can, play around with that server, or you can explore that server. If you right click on the shortcut and see, observe here, what did I do? I have a shortcut on the desktop. I used open file location. Okay. Now if you observe here that let me show you that HTML document. Where is it? That index.html. Here it is. Do you see that index.html here? Do you see that here? What is that? It is a HTML document. Index.html is a HTML document. So index.html is the resource here, web page resource here. And that is there in a folder called WebTools. The path of that HTML document is inside WebTools. The particular HTML document is there in a folder called WebTools. Now that is why this is called as resource path. That is why this is called as resource path. Index.html is the resource, and the path of the resource this is this WebTools index.html on the server. So if you go to the server folder, so this is your server folder. If you go to WebTools folder, right? So inside there is a folder called htdocs. Htdocs and HTML documents. Inside that you have a folder called WebTools. There you have this page called index.html. Now is it clear why this is called as resource path and what is the resource here and why is it called as resource path? Understood, Arun? Now observe here, I will send a request to other resources. Observe here, suppose I want to access only this image. I want to see only this image, HP logo.png. The image name is HP logo.png. How to see that, how to see that? You can right click over there and use an option called inspector, right? If you click on inspect, right, you see that image name, images HP logo.png, isn't it? The image name is HP logo.png and path is, that is there in a folder called images. That is what it means. Image src is equal to images HP logo and this particular image is there in a folder called images. Okay. And where is that images folder? Let us go to the server and see that. You see, do you see here there is a folder called images? Inside that HP logo.png is there and webtools.png is there, isn't it? Suppose I want to access this HP logo.png, what should I give the resource path as? I want to access only that image. Then how should I change the path here? Inside WebTools, there is a folder called images, and inside that images you have this HP logo.png. You can see that here, images HP logo.png image is there. HP underscore logo na underscore logo dot png. Now you are getting only that image. It is showing only image. You say I have sent a request to image. That's why server returned me an image. That image. Ala kakunda, suppose if you give the path, I want to see only webtours.png. Now just give that name. Now you got that webtours image, isn't it? So you are sending, when we send a request to the image, server will show you only image. If you are sending a request to HTML document, it will get that HTML document. If you send a request to CSS file, it will return that CSS file. If you send a request to JavaScript file, server will show you the JavaScript file, right? Now is it clear what is meant by why is it called as resource path? What is the resource here, by the way? Huh? That image webtours.png is the resource here, and the path to the resource is webtours images. That is there. That image is there in a folder called webtours. Inside that you have a folder called. Inside that you have a folder called images. Inside that images folder you have all the images. Clear? Now is this clear? Why is this called as resource path? And why did I take this local application example is I can't show that, I can't explain that on Amazon server, right? Because I will not have access to Amazon server, right? No one can access their Amazon server, isn't it? So that's why I took a local application to explain what is meant by resource path, right? Okay. So now let us go back to the performance testing lifecycle. Is it clear, Archana? Is it clear, or is it confusing, or is it interesting? Or don't know? You don't know? Is it clear? First of all, is it interesting? Easy to understand, right? So I'm keeping it very simple. That's why to make it simple, I took the demo application, because you have server access. You can see, you can go to any folder. But if you want me to explain on Amazon or Flipkart application, I can't explain because I will not have access to the server. I will not have server access, isn't it? Okay. Now, what is this query string? What is this query string? We understood resource path. Then what is meant by query string? Suppose if you see this URL, I'll take Amazon for that. Okay. I'll take Amazon for that. And let's say, here you have, only protocol and server name in the URL. Now I'll search for some product. Let's say I'll search for some product. I'll search for some product. Okay. Now, see this URL. I'll copy this URL. I'll paste it in your class notes document. Now, can you quickly tell me what is protocol, what is server name, what is resource path here? Protocol is HTTPS. Server name is Amazon.in. And what is resource path? Right. Resource path is yes. Right. You have one single letter here. Yes, that's it. This is resource path. This is resource path. Right. Yeah. And now what is query string? The string after the question mark is called as query string, as simple as that. Whatever string is there after the question mark is called as a query string. In this example, I searched for an iPhone and this is a request that went to the server, isn't it? Now, what is a query string? Query string is nothing but the complete string after the question mark in the URL. See, in some URL, you may not have a question mark. Then there is no query string in that example. See, for example, here, there is no query string here. In this example, you don't have a query string. You have only resource path here. Here also, you have only resource path. Here also, you have only resource path. Here resource path kuda ledu. You have just server name. That's it. And here also, when you type apple.com, there is no resource path. There is no query string there. But in this example, you have after string, you have a string. After question mark, you have a string, right? That string, that complete string after the question mark is called as a query string. I'll write it down here. String after the question mark in a URL is called as a query string. Okay. Now in this example, this is the query string. Clear? After question mark, you have this string, right? So I'll do one thing. I'll keep it in bold. Okay. That is called as query string. Clear, everyone? And now observe here, a query string contains, these are called as name value pairs or key value pairs. A query string contains multiple name value pairs separated by an ampersand symbol. A query string contains, I'll write it down here. Query string contains multiple, one or more than one. Multiple means, like ఎప్పుడు multiple ఉండాలని లేదు. There is no rule that there should be multiple. Contains, a query string contains one or more than one name value pairs. Name value pairs. I'll keep it in initial caps. Name value pairs, or this is also called as key value pairs, separated by an ampersand symbol. And symbol is read as ampersand, right? So this is read as ampersand. Okay, so a query string contains one or more than one name value pairs separated by an ampersand symbol. That means this is first name value pair, right? You have, because you have an ampersand symbol, and then from here to here, this is your second name value pair. From here to here, you have second name value pair. Do you want me to write it separately? I'll do one thing. I'll write it here separately. Name value pairs, or this is also called as key value pairs. Okay. First name value pair is this one. Second name value pair is from here to here. That is the second name value pair. And then third name value pair is from here to here. As simple as that. Ampersand is the separator. Ampersand ఎక్కడి నుంచి స్టార్ట్ అవుతుంది, ఎక్కడ ఎండ్ అవుతుంది చూస్తే you will know what is a name value pair. Yes or no? This is your fourth name value pair. Agree? Am I correct? Do you see any ampersand symbol in between? No, right? So this particular URL is having 4 name value pairs. What is the first one? First one man search chesinది. I had searched with iPhone. That is the first name value pair, isn't it? After that, there is something called CRID. We don't know what is that CRID and what is S prefix and all. Not required. That is not required for us. When we searched, whether we got a product or not is important, right? When we got that product or not is important, right? So we need, developers will know this information. Developers will understand what is that information. We don't require to know that. Okay. Now, once you enter a URL in the browser, right? Your browser will break the URL into protocol, server name, port number, resource path, and query string, like that. And then next step is it will try to resolve the IP address of the server. What is the time now? 11:21. It will try to resolve the IP address of the server. See, this is the server name. See, in this case, this is the server name. In this case, this is the server name. But what is the IP address? What is the IP address of Apple server? What is the IP address of Amazon server? What is the IP address of IRCTC server? Browser will try to find out that, because it has to establish a connection with the server, right? So for that, it needs the IP address. Okay. So for that, what it will do is to resolve the IP address, browser will look through its own cache of recently requested URLs, right? That means yesterday or day before yesterday or before, if you access the same application, it might have done all these steps, right? If you access the same application sometime before, it should have done all these steps. Your browser should have done all these steps. Appudu IP address vachi untadi kada, that server your browser may be knowing the IP address. And now whenever it will store that IP address in the cache, browser cache. Okay. What is meant by browser cache? What is meant by browser cache? So if you observe, when you access any new application, first time if you access any new application, right? Yesterday, any application, any website that you use other than popular websites, other than Amazon and Instagram or WhatsApp, any other websites that you use? No. That also we accessed it, right? We accessed it, right? Huh? KSRTC. Okay, I did not access it. Okay. KSRTC, I'll type it KSRTC online.in. What is the URL? You type it, you'll get it. If it is not correct, you'll get it, right? Huh? TSRTC antava. Okay. We'll do one thing. I'll take a private browser. Okay. I'll take a private browser. Okay. No, sorry. Private browser will not have that cache concept. Sorry. Tell me some website, some website that you use mostly. That you use mostly. Huh? What is it? Geeks for Geeks. Okay. So I'll use this one. Okay. Geeks for Geeks. Yeah. And I'll go to that website geeksforgeeks.org. Okay. First time when you access that application, the very first time you access that application, maybe I used it before also. That is why it loaded faster. But if you observe, first time if you access any website, it will be taking some time. But next time when you access, you suppose you close it and next time when you access the same application, it will be loaded faster, right? Yes, sir. How many of you observed it? The very first time you access any application, it will be loading slower. But next time when you access the same website on the same day or next day, it will be loaded faster, right? Why? How come it will be loaded faster?
It will store on cache.
Right. So when you access for the first time, right, your browser will, it will download some HTML document, JavaScript files, images, and all these, right? All those resources will be stored in the browser cache. It will be accessed in the browser cache. Next time when you access the same website, it will not fetch the resources from the server, but it will load from the cache, local cache. It will load from the browser cache itself. That is why it will be faster. Yes, sir. Right? So that is browser cache. What is browser cache? It is a temporary storage memory area on your browser. What is a browser cache? Okay. Very important concept. What is a browser cache? It is a storage area in a web browser that stores all these resources, web page components like HTML documents, images, JavaScript files to speed up the browsing. Okay. Arina, I'll copy the complete definition. A browser cache is a storage area in a web browser that stores copies of web page resources. Web page resources. What are web page resources? We had discussed just now, right? Images, CSS files, JavaScript files, HTML documents are also called as web page resources, right? Why do they store in the browser? Browser is to speed up the browsing. This allows websites to load faster on subsequent visits. What is meant by subsequent? What is the meaning of subsequent? Subsequent means next visit. See, the meaning of subsequent is next. So this allows websites to load faster on subsequent visits by reusing these locally stored resources instead of downloading them from the server every time. Right? So is it clear? Is the definition clear? Those who are from computers background, you should be already knowing this. Yes or no? Don't say I know this. Don't say that I know. I was not taught in my college. I can't help you. Okay. But those who are from computers background, you should be already knowing this. What is a browser cache? What is normal browser? What is private browser? Vishwa, what is normal browser? What is the difference between normal browser and a private browser? You are from CSC, right? What is the difference between a normal browser and a private browser? Are you aware of this browser cache? No? College lo cheppaleda? Okay, that is why I am telling here. I know that. So, so Rajshekhar Reddy, fees reimbursement punyama ani Kodafaralu kuda college కింద మారిపోయింది. Okay, that is a different story, right? Kodafaralu kuda, college engineering college కింద మారిపోయింది, right? So, I know that, I know that we know the standards of the colleges, right? That is why we have these many institutes in Amitpet. If there are standards in the colleges, we will not have these many institutes in Amirpet or institutes in Bangalore, right? Okay, that is why we are here. All right. So what is a browser cache? You understood now. Now, what is the difference between a normal browser and a private browser, right? So I hope there is no YSR fans. What is the difference between a normal browser and a? Of course, there are a lot of people who are benefited with that. I do agree that, but benefit karna misuse. Lot of people misused it, abused it, right? Abused it. Yes or no? Abused those fees reimbursement scheme. Why do I say abuse is? Do you agree that most of the people abused it? College fees will cut off, so fees reimbursement punyamani college fees will cut off. Or people bought Yamaha bikes, laptops. Laptop konde parle, that is okay if they are using it for learning. But some people bought bikes, and some people bought jewelry. Okay, jewelry aina parle, that is a good investment actually, right? So of course, and basically they will not know the value of their money, right? They will not, fees pay cheste kashtabadi man sondra dabbulu kadite, we will know the value of that. But if anything comes free, we will not know the value of it. Agree? Only few will know the value of that, isn't it? Okay. So what is the difference between normal browser and a private browser? Normal browser, will have this browser cache, but a private browser will not have a browser cache. It will not maintain, see, observe here, or you will not have, see, normal browser will have a history option. What is history option? It is showing what all pages that I had visited from morning, right? These are the recent tabs that I visited. Observe here, right? Be careful if you are visiting some unwarranted websites, that will be, others can see those. Okay. So if you want to visit some secret websites, use private browser. Okay. So, but if you open a private browser, how to open a private browser? If you click on the three dots, there is something called new incognito window, right? This will not have a history option at all here. There will be no history option, right? So suppose if you leave your computer unlocked, and anyone can see what websites you have visited. But if you see if you access in a private browser, they can't see that, right? Because a private browser won't save your browsing history. It won't save the cookies and site data, and it won't save the information that you entered in the forms. But that doesn't mean that no one can see that. Okay. Alagani, once you join the job tomorrow, before you get the project, don't visit, any unwarranted websites, because your network administrator, your employer, or your school, if you are using a college laptop or a school laptop, they can know that what websites you visited, because your network admin can track that, right? The websites that you visit will know that, obviously, and your ISP will know that. Your ISP will know that what websites you visited. There are some prohibited websites, right? So if you access those, like even if in a private browser, they can know that, they can track that information, isn't it? Or your network admin can track that. And this is the difference between normal browser and a private browser, right? Your private browser, but your friends can't see that. Those who are seeing the laptop after you. Suppose you are using your office, your computer in your lab, college lab, right? So, like if you visit some unwarranted websites and you leave that, after you, someone else is supposed to use it. They can see what websites you have visited, right? Or else, if you are accessing some websites at your home laptop, your parents can see what websites you are visiting. Yes or no? Right? Because normal browser will store those in the browser history. Normal browser will have a history option. Observe here. This is how we can check it, isn't it? But if you are using a private browser, you will not, see why I'm explaining this is, suppose you are so I'm not explaining you to use some unwarranted websites. Why I'm explaining this is, suppose if you are using your friend's computer to log into your Gmail or something, right? So, if you use a private browser, it will not save your browsing history and cookies and site data and what username and password that you entered in the form. You can't save the username and password also in the private browser. But when you access any Gmail or Yahoo Mail or something in your normal browser, it will show you an option to save your password, right? By mistake, if you save it, you are giving your account credentials to others, right? Or else, what information you entered in the, suppose you search for something, You search for something here, right? And in a normal browser, after that, your friend took your laptop. They can see what did you search for, isn't it? Because normal browser will store what you entered in the forms, isn't it? So, but a private browser, if you are, why I'm explaining this is, if you are using Gmail or something from your friend's computer or a public, sometimes we go to some computer shops and we may open Gmail there, isn't it? Use a private browser at that time. Don't use a normal browser. Okay. All right. So this is the difference between normal browser and a private browser. Okay. So we'll stop it here for today, guys. We'll continue tomorrow. It's already 11:30, right? So I think I took, 1 hour, 20 minutes session. We'll stop it here for today. We'll continue tomorrow. We'll complete that tomorrow in the sense Monday. We'll have the next session on Monday only. And from Monday onwards, I can't allow anyone who don't confirm their joining. Okay. Everyone should pay the fees, and those who paid fees only will be allowed from Monday onwards. Okay. So how many we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the classroom. And Balaji will be joining us. Balaji, right, Balaji? From next Monday onwards?
From Monday onwards, I will join.
Okay. And who all, anyone else coming to classroom from Monday? Okay. So if you come next week, you will get a earn value loan opportunity. You can make minimum 5,000 in just 1 week. 1 week, 5,000, 1 month, 15,000. Okay. If you keep it for 1 or 2 years, you can make 1 lakh. If you want to make more money also, yes, there is a provision, right? If you can, that depends on, how much you can, basically how much amount you have in your savings account. Okay. So I'm going to give you some investment option with zero risk. Okay. With zero risk. If there is any risk, you can deduct that money in your training fees. Okay. That I'm that much confident. Clear? So what is that opportunity and all, I'll explain you next week. Okay. So you can, those who are interested, you can make, 1 lakh also in 1 week. Okay. But I don't think so that, you will be ready for that. So I'm making 1 lakh. Okay. Next week or in just 1 week, I'm going to make 1 lakh. Okay. So I will take that risk. But, for you, so I don't suggest it. But, all you need is you can earn your fees back. Whatever fees that you paid, right? You can earn that back. Right? And you will get such opportunities every month. Every month or almost every week, you will get such opportunities. These opportunities are for only offline participants due to some constraints. I want to give it to online also, but due to some constraints, these opportunities are only for our offline participants. Okay. So with this, I'll stop it here, guys, for today. We'll continue tomorrow.